All right, welcome families. While you all are kind of joining, I'm going to give you all a second to all get in here. The number is continuing to go up and up and up, and so I want to give you all a few seconds. But we're so glad that you're here, that you are joining us this afternoon or on your lunch break. We are super excited to be welcoming you and your students to UMass this fall, and so we have a short presentation for you today. And then we will then take some questions after the presentation. And so again, we're super excited that you've joined us today. So this is what we are calling our Family U Chat series, which is really our way of answering the questions that families need answers to. And so we started a couple weeks ago, and we'll continue throughout the fall. And it's really just our way to make sure that we're connecting with you and getting you the information that you need. And so today we're talking all about move-in. This session will be full, and so that because of that, we're going to offer another session tomorrow around the same time. And so but we're also going to make this recording available for you all online. And so we'll put it on our Parent and Family Services website. It will also be available on Facebook. And so we hope that you will kind of go back and watch it if you have more questions. And then we'll share our contact information at the end for anyone who has lingering questions. But without more than that, I'm just going to turn it over to Dawn Bond, and she's going to share with you all of the information that you need about Move-In 2023.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Dawn Bond, Director of Operational Services here at UMass Amherst. Me and my team organize and coordinate fall move-in, and we're really happy to be here. I have some of my staff here that will be behind the scenes answering questions when we get to the Q&A portion. What I'm going to do now is share screen with sound. I learned that at the very end of new student orientation and transitions, because we have a short video. And Jonathan, are you able to see the beginning of move-in preparing and planning? Yes. Awesome. Okay, here we go. We're going to roll, and I'm a fast talker. So we are going to talk today about fall move-in and having a plan and doing some preparations before you leave home. If you haven't already, we are strongly encouraging you to download the My UMass app. There is lots of helpful information in the My UMass app, including directions that we will ask you to follow, a what to bring checklist, and other important notifications that may come across. Specifically, I'm thinking about the My UMass app will be used if at any time during the 3 centralized move-in days we are experiencing inclement weather that will require us to shelter in place. We will be communicating through the notifications of My UMass app. That is the fastest way to talk to families and students as they're arriving to campus. And so that again is My UMass app. On August 7th, students will find out, if they haven't already selected their housing as a returning student, where they'll be living for the academic year. That's at 12:01 a.m. on Monday, August 7th on Spire. This is when you will also be notified of not just your room assignment, but your roommate information will be shared there. We think this is a great time to start talking with your new roommate about how you will share space and what you're each planning to bring. You don't need 2 of everything, and so this is a good time to start to coordinate that effort. Between August 14th and August 21st, students will make a move-in reservation or view a move-in reservation that has been given to them. I'm not assuming that this webinar is just new students, families, and parents. We are actually hoping that it is also returning family members and parents. There are 2 different sides of the campus that we check students in on, and some of our buildings are moved in by minute movers, and some of our buildings are moved in by our professional moving company. So what your experience was last year or the previous years may be a little different because you're living in a different location or being moved in by a different process. And so if you are being moved in by our professional moving company, you will see a move-in reservation. We assign times, and that's what keeps us on track for moving in some of those more challenging buildings. USS moves in our 5 towers, our Honors College, and all of Sylvan. And so if you are assigned to or selected into any of those types of buildings, then you will see a move-in reservation. Every other student will see half-hour time slots that they will select from what's available. Move-in reservation is first come, first serve. We did Crash Spire the first 2 years. We launched move-in reservation, and so in an effort to not do that going forward, on the 14th, we will not have everyone start at 9 a.m. There is a schedule on our website that tells you what time your building will start move-in reservation. For buildings that view their move-in time, they will be later in the day, and the ones that make their move-in reservation, they will be spread out over the morning and early afternoon. Your student does that on Spire. About 2 weeks after we launch move-in reservation, we do start to transition our summer students from conference housing and summer housing into their fall assignments. I'll talk about that in just a moment in a little more detail. On August 31st, first-year students and transfers living in McNamara will move in between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. September 1st, students assigned to the following halls will move in. That is all of our remaining transfers, students living in North Apartments, multi-year honors, 4 buildings listed there. And then we start to move in the towers, Patterson and McKimmey. The move-in reservation will reflect those decisions. On September 2nd, our third move-in day, all remaining students will move in. This year, we created a Sam the Minuteman's ultimate move-in success checklist. We think these are the most important things to be thinking about as the family member who will support the student moving in. It's important that you review routes prior to the day you're coming to campus. We think it's helpful for you to sort of understand the layout of the campus and also where the 2 check-in locations are located, as well as the routes that we have defined. Part of our success with our move-in program, this will be our 11th year moving students in using this process, is that we're very intentional about not creating our own traffic jams and gridlocking ourselves. We do not bring any families through the center of our campus, and so we do not want you to do that. Getting to the check-in location, we want you to specifically follow the directions. On the west side of campus, you will come off of 116. On the east side of campus, you'll come onto our campus from the north. Again, you will not come through the center of our campus. The student, after making their move-in reservation or viewing their move-in reservation, will have the option to print a boarding pass. I'm going to describe the boarding pass to you in a moment. I have a graphic of that. If you are planning to bring a second car, that second car will not be unloaded at the residence hall, but it is helpful for the driver of the second car to have a copy of the boarding pass because there is a QR code that brings you to our maps on it. Your student will need to bring their U-card or photo ID. We accept any photo ID, but if they do not have their U-card, the U-card office will be open on Thursday and Friday, normal business hours. As I've already indicated, you'll prepare to pack and travel. Remember, only 1 car will be unloaded at the residence hall. The second car, if that's coming, we'll talk about it in a moment. Please follow our directions to either the east or west check-in point. It's important that the second car driver be oriented to what is going to happen as well. They will follow the primary car up to a certain point in the check-in process, and then will be on their own to navigate to the parking lot that we have designated for each hall. And then lastly, even after you leave the check-in locations, we have designated routes to get to each residence hall. So this year, we believe we've improved the boarding pass. This is what the piece of paper looks like. It does unfortunately have to be a printed piece of paper. It does not have to be printed on a color printer. The barcode is the most important part. The barcode, as indicated here, is what we scan, and that will electronically check you into your assignment for the semester. It will correlate with the barcode that is on the envelope that your room key is in. This is information about where your assignment is and what time your move-in reservation is for the day. This is a little bit iterative of the same here. This year, we've added a map for the check-in location that you will be traveling to so that you do have a sense of orientation upon arrival. This is an example from the west side of campus. All of that traffic comes off of 116 and enters onto Stadium Drive. And then this is newly added this year. This QR code will take you to another version of our maps that I think are more visually helpful. They include pictures of landmarks along the routes. And I find as a New Englander, that's always helpful for me when I'm trying to navigate around a new place. What to bring? We have heard from our students usually at May Move Out, but that they have way too much stuff. And so in an effort to start with less, we do recommend that you're talking with your roommate about what they're bringing and avoiding bringing doubles if it's possible to share. You may want to consider renting a micro fridge. That is a unit that includes a microwave, a refrigerator, and a freezer that is delivered to campus directly and picked up at the end of the year. So that saves a lot of room in the car. We will have a very large tag sale of items that students donated at May Move Out on the Saturday of Move In, a Labor Day weekend. And we also host a luggage program for our international and out-of-state students that they can exercise the right to ship boxes ahead to us directly. We will hold them at our distribution center, and then we will make every effort to have those belongings in the room waiting for you upon your arrival. There is also a list of items that are prohibited in our residence halls. They are typically things that are fire hazards or hazardous to others. To review the full list, you can find that on our website. We wanted to make sure you do understand that there are some items that are not allowed in the residence halls and could result in student conduct. We have about a 4-page checklist on our Living website. It is broken down by category. I think it's helpful for review. You may not feel like you need everything that we've listed, but we've tried to think about all the things that you might need. We've listed here just a few of the essential items. And we do have a linens program that also is a full complement of 2 sets of linens and materials needed for showering. That also ships directly to the university, and we make every effort to place it in the room prior to your arrival. The second thing that I want to highlight on this list is a fan. Only Honors College and North apartments are air conditioned. And so we have been having some hot Septembers here in the Valley. And so a fan is essential. What I've told new students and their families all summer is that by the time you arrive at the end of August, that is an out of stock item. The Halloween decorations are already up, and even in some cases, other holiday decorations. And so there's usually not a lot of fans available at our local retail establishments. And then the last one that I would like to highlight, and many returning students already know what this is, but there are some faculty who require an eye clicker for course work, course attendance, and some faculty start using that eye clicker the very first day of classes. And so that's something that if you do, it is required for a course, you would follow the path Inspire to look at the class overview / textbook area, and it would be listed as a class material. We recommend that you purchase that eye clicker ahead of time and bring it with you at move-in. We do have a 1-car rule. I've mentioned that already a couple of times. I don't think I could mention it more. So the 1-car rule is that we will unload 1 car, as many bins as it takes to unload that car. We will get to the vehicle, and the vehicle should have that will be unloaded should have the student in it with their key. They will need their key to get into their room. If you choose, and we know there are a number of reasons why a second car may come to campus on move-in day. So we understand that your student may be keeping a car on campus, and so that's why a second car is coming. There may be some additional family members that want to be part of the experience. What we don't want to have happen is have you become this family. This family had lots of items in both cars. It's Dad, who I really appreciate the most in this picture, who literally has his hat off and he's just like, we've got to figure this out. These 2 cars have pulled off and are resituating outside of one of our check-in areas, and they are now attempting to move as many items into that first car as possible and move people into the second car, because the second car will go park and then the folks need to walk in from the designated parking lot. There will not be move-in bins available for items in second car. If everything couldn't fit in one car, we want you to be this family. They are carrying a few items in. They're carrying in light things. That's what we want you to put in the second car if you find you need to put a few things in the second car. When you are walking in with them, carrying things is sometimes harder than you think long distances. On the east side of campus, the east check-in location is for residence halls in North, Sylvan, Northeast, Orchard Hill, and Central. On the north side of campus for North, Northeast, and Sylvan, the designated parking lots for those 3 residential areas are a little bit further of a distance than we would desire, and it's also an uphill walk. And so we operate an east shuttle for these 3 areas, and it runs continuously throughout all 3 move-in days from lots 31 and 68. We do a drop off at Northeast, and then we go up to the Sylvan bus stop and do a drop, and then we turn around at the police department and come back down Eastman Lane. And so we encourage you, particularly if it's hot that day, or you have a few items you're carrying, jump on our shuttle. We'd love to transport you. If your student is coming by Peter Pan, Uber, taxi, any other ride service, we strongly encourage you to be dropped off at the Brommery Center for the Arts. We operate an East shuttle and a West shuttle and pick students up with their luggage at the Brommery Center for the Arts and take them through the check-in process and bring them to the hall. They get unloaded just like any other student does. And that's an example of our shuttle. As I've indicated, there are already some students on our campus, either taking summer session courses, or our pre-seasons athletes are here. The marching band is here. We have a first-year program called the BIOS program. Those students will transition either on the 28th or the 29th of August. Those are self-service move-ins. We do not operate the large move-in on these conference transition days. We know that usually families want to come up with the rest of the students' belongings at another time. And so we are encouraging families who are bringing up additional items to come after 6 p.m. any one of the days listed there, or any time on the 3rd or 4th. What I want to emphasize is that families that are bringing a second round of items, if your student was part of a conference transition, you will not have access to your student's residence hall when we are moving that residence hall in. It is after 6 p.m. on that day or any other day that we're not moving the building in. We do also have a number of students that move in early. These students are often part of an approved group and are here for a reason. They're participating in Welcome Week events. They're part of our Minute Mover team. These are self-service move-ins. Self-service move-ins will see times for August 29th, and will select from a move-in reservation times on that day. They will go directly to their residence hall and park, check in at the residential service desk that's affiliated with that particular building. If you're in a new area of campus this year, different from last year, we do have a list of all of our residential service desks on the website and what buildings are affiliated with them. This is where you will be issued your key and also can sign out a bin. You'll be directed to where bin sign out is after you are issued your key. You will have 20 minutes to unload in the unload zone, and then you will be asked to move the car out to the designated parking lot so that another family can arrive. This year, we're offering an early arrival option on August 30th, Wednesday, August 30th, to our students that live in the following buildings: Kennedy, Webster, Dickinson, Van Meter. Those are all first-year halls, and McNamara, which is our transfer living community. All have the opportunity, first come, first serve, to select a move-in time on August 30th, if that date works better for you. These are also self-move-ins, but we will have some infrastructure support in place for signing out bins, and we encourage you to consider that option. Now I'm going to talk about the 3 big move-in days where we have a centralized move-in process operating. I'm going to start on the east side of campus. This is a map of the east side of campus. The east side isn't as intuitive as the west side because we use a large student parking lot that you may not be familiar with if you've never traveled over here. So lot 44 is where we do the run the operation. We will have all the families come in from the north side of our campus. And so if you're coming in on 116, you're going to pass our campus and loop back around. If you're coming in from East Pleasant, you're going to pass the campus and loop back around as well to North Pleasant Street. This is the entrance to East Check-in, North Residential Drive. There is good signage on the ground here. This is the College of Education, and this is the entrance to North Residential Drive. You'll travel up through this queue, and the first thing that happens on the east side of check-in is this is where the student is issued their key, and a placard is placed on the car. If you are bringing a second car, the second car should follow the primary car onto North Residential Drive and into East Check-in location. We will also placard the second car and speak with the driver of the second car about what is going to happen next. The second part of East Check-in is that our wonderful dining partners are out there with us every day, and they have goodie bags with water and snacks and fruit in them, and they hand those out to all the cars that come through the check-in location. And then the last part of East Check-in is what we call the car call up. This is where we stage cars until we have a spot to unload at the building. And sometimes there can be a short wait in the car call up. That's the reason why we do the goodie bag. And so you'll stay in line in the car call up until the 2 staff that are communicating back and forth say, send more cars. So that's the last stop here. If you are a second car on the east side, after the goodie bag from dining, you leave the check-in location and you will depart this area and go to the designated parking lot. You will not get in line with your primary car. Once you leave the check-in location, you will follow the directions as they're outlined, either by using the QR code or the MyUMass app. This is the parking lot I talked about where we run the shuttle, and there is a 10 by 10 tent here with signage. This is the shuttle pickup, and then that shuttle runs up Governor's Drive, around the Rotary, up Eastman Lane. It stops here at Northeast. It stops here at Sylvan, and then it turns around at the police station, which is off map right now. The west check-in location feels a little more intuitive, at least to me it does, because I think folks kind of know where the football stadium is on our campus. And so as I've already indicated, Route 116, no matter what direction you're traveling to campus from, you will get onto Route 116 and get off on the UMass exit, take North Hadley Road a very short distance, and then enter into what is called Stadium Drive. Stadium Drive loops all the way around some of our athletics fields and specifically our football stadium. The first stop on the west side of campus is the dining tent, and that's where you'll grab a snack. You'll keep coming around. Second stop is where we issue the key and placard the cars. And then the last stop is the car call up on the west side. The second cars will leave immediately after the car is placard, will not line up in car call up, and will either go to the designated parking lot, lot 22 for Southwest, or lot 12 for Honors College. Southwest and Honors College residence halls are checked in on the west side of campus. Got a couple of visuals for you today. This is a family 0 days until move in. They've arrived, they're happy. They've got the car really nicely packed there. This is what check-in looks like behind the football stadium. 2 of our amazing student staff service every car. One person stays with the car and explains what's happening while the other staff member takes the boarding pass and scans that and gets the key and placard. This is this boarding pass that I've talked about and us checking the student ID. Dining, we've already talked about them and they're wonderful and we love them for being part of our process. Car call up, there are signs. These signs are no longer our signs because we found after several years they tip over too easily when it's windy. There will be large A-frame signs at each end of the car call up designating what building will line up where. We'll have a new picture next year. This family is being unloaded by our minute movers. We have about 400 students who volunteer to come back early and work shift to help families move in. And so we will assist the family. Everybody in the family participates, as well as minute movers, to unload the car. And as soon as this car is unloaded, we move it to the designated parking lot. The driver of the vehicle should be familiar with where that is and how to navigate there. Again, that's about doing that orientation before getting on the road. I talked a little bit about the professional moving company that we use. This is an example of a team that's moving in a USS building. They are a little bit different from Minute Mover Move In. They will swarm the car literally and start to move items into the bin. The family doesn't even get out of the car when we are doing a USS move in. They are so efficient and so good at what they do. They take chain of custody. We label each one of these bins. And in almost all cases, by the time the family goes and parks the car and returns to the building, the belongings are waiting in the room. I think it's important to mention here that when we are operating a building, we are using that elevator to move in as many students as we can. And it is not online for pedestrian traffic, nor may it be online for your move-in. And the reason why is because it's literally just math. We cannot move in a building of 300 and so people using one elevator in 9 hours. And so we've made some hard decisions, but we think good decisions about who will use the elevator and who will not. It's usually the higher floors that we put in the elevator. And then for the first and second and sometimes third and fourth floors, we will push you. The push pattern will involve you pushing to the closest stairwell to your room and then lift and carry in from there. We don't have you lift and carry the bins in. We just have you lift and carry in the belongings. I've talked about this a couple of times, but part of our success is that as soon as this car is unloaded, it needs to leave the unload zone because we have cars in car call up waiting to be called up. Now I'm going to show you a very short video of the West check-in and from start to finish. And here we go. Thank you.
Welcome to UMass.
Do you have the Living at UMass app downloaded yet?
I do.
Perfect. Is there anything else we can help you with today?
I think that's it. Thanks a lot.
Great. Welcome to UMass.
Morning, guys. Welcome to UMass. We're gonna get you unloaded.
I absolutely love that video. And so what you may not have noticed because it was really fast, there was no waiting in car call up. And we did make that video on an actual move-in day. And so there are some times when there is a little waiting in car call up, and there's sometimes when there's no waiting in car call up. But we need the queue just in case. So as soon as you are moved in, we know this is when you will start to think about how to set up for the year. Within 48 hours, your student needs to complete the room condition form on Spire. That tells us that they agree that everything in the room that's supposed to be there is there and that it is in great condition. If it is not, we want them to indicate that on their room condition form so they are not billed for anything in the future. If there is something that needs repair or service, we want your student to submit a service request so that we can address that within 48 to 72 hours of moving in. We want it to be perfect, and in many cases it is, but if there's anything in the room that you feel needs to be addressed, we would like to know about it so we can send staff. If you are planning to loft or bunk your bed, we do have those materials in each of the residence halls. They're in different places depending on where the residence hall is and what storage space we have available to us. There is a list on our website that by building will tell you where the lofting materials are. If you are planning to rearrange the furniture in your room, it is super important that you look up. We do have every single residence hall room on our campus sprinkled. There are sprinkler heads in every room. They are highly sensitive in even the smallest tap because you're lifting a bed end up to resituate it, to bunk the bed. We'll put that sprinkler head into activation and it will literally flood your room terribly and probably the rooms adjacent to you and across the hall. So please be aware of sprinkler heads, not just at move-in, but at all times. This is also a great time to start to explore your new home. Locate your hydration station, where the laundry room is, where the kitchen is, where the rec space is in your building. We do still deliver letter mail to mailboxes. There are 3 types of mailbox combinations. We've made a video tutorial for each one of them so that we can assist you in opening your mailbox. You will get mail, and so it's important your mailbox combination is Inspire, and opening your mailbox, give it a couple of tries, use the video tutorial, and if you can't get it, and that's me sometimes, we can assist. The trash and recycling locations in your building are different by building, and so locating where you are expected to put your trash and recyclables could be indoors, it could be outdoors, it just depends on the building. I've talked about the online service request. We do have emergency maintenance on our campus. We are staffed 24/7. The phone number for calling emergency maintenance will be visible and available to you throughout your residence hall. We think things that are considered emergencies involve the safety and security of the facility and the people that live in it. So if there's a toilet flooding, if a faucet will not turn off, if a lock mechanism is broke, if there's broken glass, window screen is not secure, those are emergency maintenance requests, and we will you will call that in and we will respond as quickly as we can. Again, we are staffed 24/7 for emergency maintenance. We are also still recruiting for minute movers. If you would like to move in early, there are definitely perks to being a minute mover. You get to move in early. You will get 10 hours of documented volunteer hours for your an RSO that you may be part of. We are now offering $50 dining dollars awarded in September for every minute mover who completes their shifts. The application is now available through this coming Monday. Please sign up to be a minute mover. Encourage your student to be a minute mover. It's a great way to meet people, and it's so important to our process. I want to talk a little bit about the resources available to you again, the MyUMass app. This is a screenshot of the actual app, and we think each of these tiles has helpful information. This is an example of the new maps that we've created, and if I were to click on these numbers, it will show you a landmark. Again, I just learn better that way, so these maps seem more helpful to me than the ones that are just words and lines in the MyUMass app. And lastly, this is the team that will help support you if you have questions after this webinar. We are open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That's our phone number. That is our email address. We are staffed during those times all week, and we would be happy to assist if you do feel like you've got a unique situation or something comes up after this webinar. I am now going to go to questions. Jonathan, do you have one for me? You're mute.
Yeah, you would think I'd learned that by now. But first question is, when can folks expect to receive that boarding pass?
So as soon as move-in reservation is available to students beginning on August 14th, you will be able to print your boarding pass from Spire. It's part of the process of making the move-in reservation. I can sometimes misplace things that I print, and so you can go back in and reprint it right before move-in, or wait until the day before you're coming and print it so that you know you have it and you haven't misplaced it.
All right. So another question was, if folks missed some of the information, where can they find this information after this presentation?
So this presentation is going to live on the Parent Services YouTube channel.
Mhm.
We are going to place it on Facebook.
Yes.
Lots of the information that I've referenced is already on our website. So if you went on to the Living at UMass website, there is a tile on the homepage that says Fall Move-In that will take you to lots of the information that I've referenced and the links that that we included in the presentation. Or call. We would love for you to call or email.
All right. Next question. I think you would love to answer this one out loud is, what do we do if I have twins?
Oh, that's such a great question. We have an answer for that too. You're going to email into us. We want to make sure we want to work with you on your move-in reservation so that it works best for your family. And so we also do that for siblings that are not twins. And so if a family has a first-year student and a junior student, and you don't want to make 2 trips to UMass, we will arrange a move-in that makes sense for your family. And so please send an email to the residential services at umass.edu email address, and staff on our team will coordinate that for you. We won't be able to do that until after the 14th though. So move-in reservation doesn't start to the 14th, but as soon as it's live, we will work with making it perfect.
Can you talk to us about move-in for international students?
I can. So international students will arrive on our early arrival day, which is August 29th. And those are self move-ins. So they will go to the residential service desk that is affiliated with the residence hall and get checked in. That's where they also could be issued a bin if they are in an Uber or a Lyft. If their family is bringing them, then they would drive to the residence hall, park in the unload zone, and move themselves in. I'm not totally familiar with the orientation schedule, but I know that on that first day, they expect that people will be arriving throughout the day. But I also know that they have sessions and things planned for international students starting that first day. International orientation starts on August 29th. We will have international students U-cards at our service desks. So the U-card office does not mail internationally. And so if you are a new international student and you submitted your photo, the U-card office has been holding your card. We will take chain of custody of those U-cards and they will be available for new international students at their service desk when they pick up their key.
Perfect. Next question is, can first-year students apply to be minute movers and help with move-in?
I would love that. However, I think that welcome to the U this first time around is more important. And there are lots and lots of things planned for your transition. The Friday is, well, Thursday's Frost Fest. Friday, the college sessions are in the morning, and then Dear World is throughout the day. Saturday, there's lots of fun events planned for you. And then Sunday is UFest. And so as much as I would love to say yes to a first year student volunteering, and please do this your sophomore year, I think welcome to the U is more important.
I agree. So the next question is, can out-of-state students ship things to campus before move-in? Or is that only an option for international students?
It's both for out-of-state and international students. All the details of what we call our luggage program are on our website. And so whoever asked that question, go right to our website, and there's a PDF document that tells you how to ship it, how to address it, what the expectations are, weight limits, and all of that. So that is on the Living at UMass website.
Another question about the luggage program was, can you talk specifically about pickup?
So what we've improved over the last couple of years is we used to get those boxes to the service desk, and they're oftentimes heavy and large. And so our team is committed to, up to a certain point, getting them into the student room and waiting for you so that it's there in your room.
The next question is really more of a general question, but I'm pretty sure you know the answer. So it's, when do students get their U-card?
So students who attended new student orientation and transitions in person received it when they were here on campus. Any student who had their approved photo submitted by July 17th, the U-card office has mailed those to students in the US. They do not mail internationally. So if you are an international student and you're new, you will have your U card will be waiting for you at your residential service desk. Now, if you just outright lost your U card and you're coming to campus without it, the U card office will be open for you to go to get a replacement U card on Thursday and Friday. Their business hours are 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. They will not be open on Saturday. They will reopen on Tuesday after the Labor Day weekend.
All right, the next question says, if a family has two vehicles, are they allowed to bring carts for their second, to move in their items from their second vehicle?
So now you're telling me you're bringing too much stuff, just so you know. Yes, I mean, you can bring your own wheelie, but remember, we're not going to let you into the elevator. So if that helps you traverse the area from the parking lot to the lobby or to the stairwell, then yes, please bring your own dolly or wheelie mechanism to get items out of your second car. But I really, really, really want to emphasize the amount of stuff that you are bringing might be too much.
Well, then I'm going to do you one better. And the next question says, what happens if you have a U-Haul trailer?
Okay. We will still unload it, of course, if it's attached to the primary car. But if that U-Haul is full, you have too much stuff. I'm just going to say it.
Do you want to tell them like the average amount of square footage in our residence hall room? Because
Yeah, you know, don't forget, in almost all cases, students share a room with another person. And this year we also have our economy triple still in play and our lounges that have 4 people. And so I think it's just, you know, really be thinking about what do you need for fall semester? What could be brought to campus later in the semester if you're able to do that. And then we've already talked about how we have the luggage program for international and out-of-state students. And so, yeah.
The next question was, just to clarify, are the students staying with their belongings or do they go with the car to the parking lot?
Depends. So if they are being moved in by the Minute Mover team, which is most of our buildings, they are helping move in. And only the driver is leaving in the car and parking the car. Everybody else that comes, the student, any other family members, the Minute Movers, they're actively moving in the items into the residence hall after the driver leaves with the car. If you are being moved in by USS, our professional moving company, and again, the buildings that qualify for that are 5 towers in Southwest, all of Honors College, both first year and multi-year, so all 6 buildings, and Sylvan, Cash and Brown, and McNamara. If you're moving into one of those buildings, the USS team will unload the car. The family doesn't even get out of the car, and they will leave and then walk back. And we have staff in the residence halls unlocking and relocking student doors. We push the belongings in, and in almost all cases, the belongings are waiting for the student when they get back.
Don, I think this is a question that we typically handle on a case-by-case basis, but I'm hoping that maybe you can at least provide some context how we might handle it. What do we do if a student has a disability or a family member has a disability when it comes to move-in?
Perfect. Yes, that is such a great question. I'm glad you asked it in the open forum. Disability Services works with us directly and identifies students that may need to be moved in early because they have equipment to set up. It is just a better paced move in. The elevators are available during early move in. And so if a student lives with a disability, they should be working with their consumer manager, and we can identify them as an early arrival, and they will be able to move in outside of this process. If a family member comes to campus who has a mobility disability or a reason to need to get into the elevator or transportation from the parking lot that we're designated, we do operate an ADA shuttle that if you use the My UMass app, there's a telephone number that will activate on move-in day that you will call. The ADA shuttle that's operated by one of our staff members here in transit will come pick you up in your parking lot, your designated parking lot, and take you directly to the hall. If there is a need to use the elevator for a medical or disability reason, then we will allow, of course, for that person to use the elevator. There may be a small wait period as we're still trying to operate the process of moving in students, but we will, of course, give access to in those situations to a person who needs to ride the elevator.
And so if a student has a disability and moves in early, is there assistance for moving in around those times?
There is not. So the early arrival move-ins are self-service move-ins, but what we have found is that many families prefer that because they have more time. It's a little slower paced on early arrival move-in day. Bins are available, so you will be able to still containerize and push, and the elevators are also more available during early arrival move-in.
All right. So our next question says is if we come August 29th, we can't come before 6, or how late can we come in after 6?
Mhm. So remember, if you're coming in after 6 on the 29th, that means that you have either a band student, an athlete, or a student who is part of the BIOS program, and you're coming after 6 p.m. because you're bringing the remainder of their belongings. You can come anytime between 6 p.m. and 11 p.m.
All right. The next question says, are we allowed to tip minute movers or USS? How is that allowed?
It's not allowed, and we really appreciate whoever's asking that, because every time we do move in, families are so generous and want to thank their minute mover for doing it. But we don't want that. We want this. We made this process this way to make the move-in process really smooth and easy for the families, because prior to changing this, to be quite honest with you, it wasn't the smoothest experience for families. I'm a double alum, and we hadn't changed our move-in program since the late 80s. And so thank you for offering that, but the minute movers especially will be told that they can't accept a tip.
The next question is do we have to buy bed raisers?
No, there are lofting materials in each residence hall for the bed types that we have. The bed is already, in my opinion, pretty high. It's at what is called captain's height. Captain's height allows for you to push the 3-drawer dresser underneath the bed and also put some pretty good storage under the bed. And so I don't think risers actually make sense. It doesn't give you much more room, and the bed if are already at captain's height, and you have a lot of room under that bed.
Mhm. The next question says, what if we have a small car? What's the kind of best process to move in when we don't have a lot of space in our vehicle?
Mhm. If it's possible, bring a second vehicle with just passengers in it and have the student drive the primary car with stuff in every single seat, including the front seat. Or maybe there's a friend that owns a Thule, which is one of those up top storage that will unload Thules. Or some people use the hitch on the back of the car where you can put some storage on the back of the vehicle as well. Or maybe borrow a vehicle from a family member that's a little bit bigger, if that's possible.
Yeah. The next thing is, does the process change if the student is the driver?
If the student is a driver and they're the only person coming to campus, or they're the only person in that car, we will put the minute mover team will push those items to a location under a camera until the student returns from the parking lot, and then we will continue to move them in. If the student is the only driver in a USS building, they leave the area anyhow, and by the time they get back, the belongings will be in the room.
All right. Our next question says, what time on assignment release day are reservations released?
So on assignment release day, we do not do move-in reservations. We will crash Spire. Please know that we have done it twice. And so on assignment release day, which is the 7th of August, you will only see your room, building, and roommate information on Spire. A week later, on the 14th, Monday the 14th, throughout the day, we will ramp on buildings so that students can make their move-in reservation or see the assigned move-in reservation that we have made for them. The schedule is on our website for what time buildings start on the 14th.
All right, Don, there's still lots of questions about IDs and the U card. And so can you talk about when they'll get it, if they haven't received it, as much as you know about that? Because I know that that's not your area, but we're getting a lot of questions about it.
Yep. I think at this time, it's August 2nd. The U-Card office communicated to me throughout the summer that any student who had their U-Card photo that had been approved submitted to them by July 17th, they would be batch mailing those out to students. And so if you had so specifically focus on me. If your student had their approved photo submitted because they're a new student by July 17th, and you do not live internationally, that is coming in the mail to you. I would say at this point, it should already be to you because it's a couple of weeks after the deadline. If you are a returning student who has misplaced or lost their U-Card, you will need to get a new U-Card when you get to campus. We recognize that we're moving students in on a Saturday and the U-Card office is not open on Saturday. You will go to your service desk and get what is called a temp card for the few days on the weekend that you'll need a card to swipe in and out of your residence hall. And then you will go to the U-Card office on Tuesday during their regular business hours, 8:30 to 5. If you're an international student and you are new, brand new, your U-Card and you did your approved photo and everything's correct, your U-Card is waiting for you at your residential service desk.
I think that should clear up at least 15 questions that your staff is trying to get to. The question, an additional part of one question was if they haven't submitted their photo yet, can they still do that and will it still be mailed to them?
So they should still do that. It will be ready for them when the U-Card office is open. It will not be at their service desk. It will be here when the U-Card office is open.
All right. So the next question was, when should we make a request for bed rails?
So those are first come, first serve. They're in storage locations in all the residence halls. It is rare that they will run out. They are the places where they're listed in each residence hall is on the Living website. Again, that's just based on where we have storage available in each of our different and unique residence halls. And you don't make a request. You go physically to the location and get what you need to loft your bed to raise it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Don, I would not ask anyone else this question, but I actually know that you know the answers to this. So what residence halls have elevators, and is Thoreau one of them?
Mm-hmm. So Thoreau does have an elevator that we use during move-in. Remember, I've already indicated that not every student moving in on first year move-in day assigned to Thoreau will be using the elevator. So it'll be the top floors. So first, second, and maybe parts of the third floor will not use the elevator, but Thoreau does have an elevator. So all of our buildings in Southwest residential area, Honors College, North, Sylvan, and Orchard Hill have elevators. But even if your building has an elevator, on your move-in day, you may not be pushing to the elevator. You may be lifting and carrying up stairs. Because again, it's just mathematically impossible to move every single resident in using one elevator in a building. Most of Northeast and Sylvan, because they are older buildings, do not have elevators, with the exception being Brett, Brooks, and Knowlton. So see, I did know where the elevators are.
Yeah, I would just say families, don't ask anyone else on campus that question. They 100% will not know the answer, but that's something you can ask Don Bond. The next question is, when it comes to micro fridges, can those reservations be made after August 7th when students know their roommates?
They can. However, they will not guarantee at this time that it will be here in the room at move-in. And so their deadline was August 1st. What Microfridge has been telling families, and it's clear on their website, and we've been saying in our orientation sessions, is if you've double ordered a microfridge and you find out your roommate is also got a microfridge rental, then one of them can be canceled and you can split the costs. And so if you are thinking about a microfridge, do it today. That will increase your chances of having it in the room and ready and available to you at move-in, but it's not guaranteed because we're one day past that deadline. I want to backtrack on something, Jonathan, because one of my staff just indicated that I may have answered a question differently. You said bed rails, I said lofting kits. I think I meant lofting kits, but we also do have safety bed rails so that if somebody is bunking their bed or lofting their bed, and then it just feels a little too high and you might roll out. We have several hundred bed rails that tuck under the mattress and kind of have a guard to prevent falling on site. Those are requested through the online service request, and that bed rail will be delivered to your room.
Okay. The next question is can a transfer student be a minute mover?
I say yes.
Okay.
I think they loosened that up a little bit this year, but there are still activities planned for transfers, and we are moving transfers in. There are welcome to you activities for transfers. We're moving transfers in on first year move-in day, and then on day 2, Friday. And so there's plenty to be involved in, but I do believe that the Minute Mover program is accepting applications from transfers.
Okay. The next question says, what if the student arrives in Boston on the 28th? I'm not exactly sure the full context of that question, but.
Okay. We start checking in early arrivals on the 29th. And so I'm going to assume if you're coming in from Boston, perhaps you're international, you're flying into Boston, that's the flight you could get. You will need to have hotel accommodation for that first night. And then on the 29th, you can travel to campus and we'll get you checked into your fall assignment.
Okay, the next question says, if rooms will have wardrobes, not closet, is there a way to find out if the wardrobes have doors?
So that's a trickier question than I'm able to answer because it's so specific to the building and even in some cases how we've set up the room. So for example, the economy triples in Southwest are in our Z room design. 2 of those wardrobes have drawers but do not have doors, but one of those students will use a freestanding wardrobe that does have drawers and doors. So that's a kind of wait and see. There are some photographs of different room types on our website, but it is nearly impossible to capture each individual example.
Yes, there's quite a few questions that I think are maybe are very specific. So wanting to know like where, like which rooms are in the one specific question was, does the Honors College have dresser drawers? And I don't know if you would even know the answer to that.
I know that there are not built-in closets. I believe there is a 3 dresser drawer and a wardrobe in the Honors College. What I also know for family members, not for students on this, is that the Family to Family Facebook page, which is a non-UMass page, but is meant to support family members and parents of UMass students, they have some pretty robust photo albums because families have built them out over the last several years. And so if you're already part of that, I would go to their photo albums. If not, you can ask to be admitted to that group. It's a Facebook group, and there's lots of pictures there. And one of my staff is just confirming it's in Honors College. It's a wardrobe and a 3-drawer dresser.
Got it. All right. So the next question is can we bring our own micro fridge?
Yes. There are parameters around fridge and microwave size, and that's listed on our website. But yes, you can.
The last one, because really we are out of time, Dawn.
We're at time.
Which really just says, Dawn, you and your team are awesome. Thank you for all your work. And so I wanted to make sure that I said that. And thank you for answering all of these questions. Just so you know, you all have answered over 120 questions in this short span of time. Families, we will make this recording available on our website. So if you go to umass.edu/parents, you'll see the recording. You can go to our parent and family services Facebook page. It will also be posted in the Family to Family Facebook group. It will also be on our YouTube page. So really anywhere that you find UMass parents information, you should be able to find the recording of this. We'll also be here tomorrow answering questions, and there's still room in that session for you to register and attend tomorrow. And so if you have more questions that you didn't get answers to, you can also come back tomorrow. And then as always, if you have questions that you need help with, you can email us at umassparents@umass.edu. There's a team of folks who answer those questions during our business hours. And so we're always happy to be a resource to you. Any last thing you want to say, Don?
No, thank you for letting us do this with you this summer. We really appreciate the opportunity to be in front of parents and families. Please send in specific questions or things that you think are just meant for your experience and situation to residentialservices@umass.edu, and our staff are happy to help navigate that with you. So thank you.
All right. Have a great day. See you tomorrow.
Bye.